Got a quick question for you. If you had to choose between a soulmate or going in God's way and potentially not being married, which one would you choose? And before we go into this, my name is Grape Juice, and this channel exists to help you build healthy, happy, whole, and biblical relationships. Let's jump into the video.
Tell him I got the juice.
If God came to you and said, I can either give you the soulmate of your dreams and you
Mm,
have a guaranteed happy marriage for the rest of your life. Like
mm,
this person looks like everything you want them to look like, they act like everything you want, like they check off every single box,
okay.
and you're guaranteed a happy marriage forever.
Mm.
Or give
Or,
you a glimpse of the perfect version of your future, meaning a version of your future in which you did everything according to his will. In this perfect version of your future, you have stepped into every single blessing that God originally has for you. You reach your potential, you utilize all your gifts that he's given you, like you hit every single box. But in that glimpse, there's no guarantee that you're going to be married to anyone. Which one would you choose?
okay. All right. Y'all hear the dilemma. I'm just listening. Y'all hear it. So, soulmate or getting a glimpse into the future, doing everything that you were called to do, step into every blessing God has for you, and you may not be married. I want to know in the comment section what you would choose. And we're going to look through some of these comments here on the Tiki. Let's see what they say. Uh Too easily. Okay. Give me the dollar. I'm assuming she means one. I think marrying my perfect soulmate is me reaching my full potential. So give me the dollar. Okay, so it looks like number one. That's kind of how they're saying that. That is so interesting to me. Let's keep it moving. Give me the dollar. Perfect version. I'll take option one. A glimpse doesn't mean it'll happen. A. Okay, she's taking number one. Cause my perfect soulmate is already a generous billionaire. He filleth my bank's accounts till it runneth over. Now, again, now let me before we even keep going, I do want to say this. I do not know how or what energy anybody in this comment section is coming with. I am not assuming that they are being oh so serious. I'm not assuming that they're just, being lackadaisical, whatever. Okay. I'm not even assuming that all of these people are believers, whatever the case is. There's 13,000 comments here. I actually want to kind of give you an interesting perspective that I think we can back up biblically, how you can have it all. I want to actually just kind of show you biblically where you could possibly have it all by choosing one of these decisions instead of it being a either or as it's presented in this, just interesting question. Give me my man. Number two, I will hear well done. Thy good and faithful servant. That's the goal. She says, but just because he gives you the glimpse, that doesn't mean it's going to happen. It's still on you to put in the work. Does that change your answer? Very, very okay. Very interesting. The second one for sure, God's love will be enough for me. I would still be going to God and asking which one should I choose. Number two, give me my man. I'm seeing a lot of ladies saying, give me my man. I really don't understand why we trick to believe that our intended spouses are not part of the. Ooh, that's a good one. I don't understand. We're tricked to believe that our intended spouses are not part of the completion of our purpose. I love her response. What about Paul? Uh-oh. Okay, see, I didn't go through all these comments, so this is nice. Option B, because I pray that the Lord will not leave me hanging. Give you your soulmate. The second one, B. So it's a little bit of a mixed answer. First one. Let's try to see what we can do to make sense of this dilemma, because it seems like what could be potentially presented and what some people may even hear in that without really giving too much in-depth thought to it is like, man, so you mean to tell me I can have one but I can't have the other, right? So I can't have a perfect person that I marry and be in God's will. I got to choose one or the other, and it may not be that deep. But here's something to consider that I think we can back up biblically, that I think will lead us to the decision that, if you ask me, we should make between the two, and why it's potentially so obvious. So if you're unfamiliar with First Kings chapter 10, this deals with the Queen of Sheba visiting Solomon. Now, the Queen of Sheba, obviously the queen of a land. It's actually out in Ethiopia. From the research that I did, it was in an area close to that space. And she hears, of course, in this context, as we'll read First Kings chapter 10, verse 1, when the Queen of Sheba heard about the fame of Solomon and his relationship to the Lord, she came to test Solomon with hard questions. Arriving at Jerusalem with a very great caravan with camels carrying spices, large quantities of gold and precious stones, she came to Solomon and talked with him about all that she had on her mind. Solomon answered all their questions. Nothing was too hard for the king to explain to her. When the queen of Sheba saw the wisdom of Solomon in the palace he had built, the food on his table, the seating of his officials, the attending servants in their robes, his cupbearers, and the burnt offerings he made at the temple of the Lord, she was overwhelmed. She said to the king, "The report I heard in my own country about your achievements and your wisdom is true, but I did not believe these things until I came and saw with my own eyes. Indeed, not even half, scroll down too fast, not even half was told me. In wisdom and wealth, you have far exceeded the report I heard. How happy your people must be. How happy your officials who continually stand before you and hear your wisdom. Praise be to the Lord your God, who has delighted in you and placed you on the throne of Israel. Because of the Lord's eternal love for Israel, he has made you king to maintain justice and righteousness." Here's the bigger picture that I want to get to you and why we bring up 1 Kings chapter 10. Here's a few things. One, the Queen of Sheba gets a glimpse of the wisdom that the Lord has bestowed upon Solomon. Here's her glimpse. She heard about the fame of Solomon and his relationship to the Lord. That's a glimpse. Okay. That's what I kind of see in this text. She gets a glimpse, a taste, and it brings about a level of curiosity that makes her go, I got to go see what this is about. So she goes. Okay. Arriving at Jerusalem with a great caravan with camels carrying spices, large quantities of gold and precious stones, she came to Solomon and talked with him about all she had on her mind. Okay. Now, again, you may not know this in the text, but when you do some deeper research, this lady traveled over 1,000 miles to go see Solomon. So not only does she have a glimpse, but now she's willing to put in the work, do the work to go get the truth about the glimpse she's heard, going to go see it for herself. We see how the rest happens. She goes, she asks the hard questions. Solomon doesn't deny her once. And then this is her outcome. This is her outcome. Okay. There's so many things we can get out of this text, but this is what I want to apply to this specific message. She says this: the report I heard in my own country about your achievements and your wisdom is true, but I did not believe these things until I came and saw with my own eyes. Indeed, not even half was told me. In wisdom and wealth, you have far exceeded the report I heard. She's like, yo, I kind of sort of was thinking on it, but I didn't fully believe it, didn't fully embrace it until I got there. That's the funny thing about glimpses. When glimpses are typically given, even in the scriptures, if we really just want to sit with some of the visions and some of the glimpses that these people gave, it's not all the time that they responded with, oh, okay, I believe it 1,000%. Some of them responded with questions, with thoughts, curiosities, like, oh, is that really what that's going to look like? Let's look at Abraham, who's given a glimpse, a vision of him leaving his far country. And he was promised to have nations after him. And yet he doesn't even have a child of his own. And so he wrestles with some doubt and some worry, some fear, some anxiety on whether or not this is actually going to fully come to pass as God promised him, but he continues to hold on to that promise. Even in the midst of all those emotions, he still holds on to it. Now, he does step out of it at times. Remember Hagar, remember Ishmael. He does step out of it, but he ultimately holds through. And even though he doesn't live to see the promise, oh, y'all, that's a whole nother. Even though he doesn't live to see the promise, he held on to the promise maker, that being God himself. So here's the whole purpose of me bringing all this up, bringing Abraham into the mix, seeing Queen of Sheba making the effort, seeing the glimpse, taking action on the glimpse and moving towards it. This is what she came out with. This is the ending here. She said, in wisdom and wealth, you have far exceeded the report I heard. Door number 2 always makes sense. Always makes sense, because even though it's a glimpse, and even though I have to put in the work and the effort to see that glimpse through, by me making the decision to trust God and trust that glimpse of vision that he's given me, I know without a shadow of a doubt that I will walk out with more than I ever expected, because God has a habit of doing things exceeding abundantly above all that we can ever ask or think. And the ultimate question that I think reigns from this hypothetical is, do you care more about your earthly marriage than you do a genuine relationship and obedience to God? And I'm not saying that anybody who commented or even the creator herself is choosing that. Don't hear that. What I'm telling you though is, do we care more about an earthly marriage than we do about being where God is? Because I just want you to wrap your mind around this as a single, as a individual. Maybe you're dating, maybe you're courting, whatever the process and case may be. Here's what I want you to consider. It is possible that you don't get married. It's possible that that dream spouse of yours never comes. Is the point of us living to have that earthly marriage, so much so that we're willing to take the perfect soulmate in a hypothetical over going where God is, going where God takes us? And I think that is what the question is left on the table for you and I to answer. And I think if we're unwilling to lay marriage on the altar, I think it will always be something that threatens our full commitment to a relationship with God, because we'll always feel that without the marriage earthly, life simply cannot be fulfilled. And I just want you to consider that. It's a tough thing, but I feel as if I'm going to trust God for my direction, purpose, this glimpse that he would potentially give me in this hypothetical, I just don't think I would put anything past God. It's possible that I don't get married, I don't have a spouse. It's possible. But you know what's also possible? That God not only gives you more than you ever could have thought or imagined, but he also gives it with person you need to be to cultivate and maintain all that he gives you in that space. And I just think that if we really genuinely love God, we will want to get to the place, and we will strive to get to the place where we genuinely just want to be where he is, even if where he is goes against what we naturally want. I'm gonna let that sit for a second. Are you willing to go where God is, even when where he is goes against what you naturally want? And I think that is a part of the relationship that we ultimately create when we come to God, is exchanging wills and getting into a posture where we receive all that God desires for us at the expense of us giving up all that we ever thought we wanted or needed. This goes in timelines, this goes in relationship statuses, this goes in potentially where you saw yourself years and years ago, where you saw yourself being right now that you may not be at. I just think that if we are where God is and where God has us, we're always winning. And it's possible that looking at hypotheticals like this, you choose because you're more potentially in this hypothetical. And sometimes some people take it literally. You feel you're losing something when you choose door number two. Man, I've always wanted that marriage, and I feel like if I don't have that marriage, then I'm losing in life. I'm losing something. But I gotta ask you, are you ever really losing in life when you're with God? Like, are you ever truly losing? I know culture will tell you that you're missing out. I know that comparison is a thief of joy. I know that social media has a tendency to throw everything that you don't have in your face and brag about it to make you feel bad for not having what everybody else has. That then causes you to step out of alignment and purpose and calling to go get it. But I got to ask you, are you truly losing in life when you're wherever God desires you to be? And if you ask me, I think Moses gives us this answer. Moses is offered the promised land, y'all, in Exodus, but God said, I'm not going to be there. So I'll take y'all. This is me paraphrasing here. I'll take you, but I'm not going to be there. And Moses said, well, don't bring us there if your presence isn't there. That, my friends, is a relationship and connection that is worth striving for, even at the cost of not having something you may have always wanted, you may have always thought would make your life worth living, but making the decision to say, I'm just choosing to rock with God. So I think there's a way you can have both. And I think you can have both by trusting God for whatever it is he gives you, knowing he can do exceeding abundantly, but just being present with where he is. Because putting your hand in the hand of God is better to you than a lamp serving as light in the darkness, and is safer than the known. And so I just wonder, if I make the decision to put my hand in God's hand, I'll be straight. And even if I don't have what I always wanted, I know I'll have what I need, and I'll be where I'm needed, moving in purpose. And I think some of us may just need to digest the fact that there may be, I'm not saying that you're not going to get married. Don't hear me say that. I think marriage is a choice. Marriage is a desire. If you desire marriage, that's a beautiful thing. I just want you to get into a place where we desire what God desires for us. That's always the safest place to be. And anytime we step out of his will to get what we want, we have to remain out of it to keep. And I just think that if we really want to maximize life, we'll go where God is. And whatever is on the other side of that, trusting that God knows all, trusting that God will never do us wrong, trusting that God will never mislead us, mistreat us, abuse us, that trusting that God is incapable of sinning against us because he can't even stand in the presence of sin. I just really, really believe that you may not be tripping if that soulmate or marriage doesn't come your way, but you're in everything God desired you to be by way of putting in the effort that is required for you to reach not just the glimpse, but then walking away as Queen of Sheba does in First Kings chapter 10 with more, than you could have ever imagined. I just think that's how God works. I choose to believe that that's how God works. And it is up to us to trust God regardless of what it is we have or don't have. It is up to us to trust that God will make up the difference. And it's up to us to trust that God knows best. And I think by way of doing that, I think you can have both. That's about all the thoughts I had. Hopefully that text made some kind of sense to you. If it did, like this video, comment below, share this with a friend who can benefit from hearing some thoughts on such a reaction to a Christian hypothetical question such as this that makes awesome conversation. And I appreciate the content creator for sharing this as well as those who commented on this page. And as always, until our next conversation or reaction, be easy and be breezy, my friend. Hey, peace.